Welcome to the Real Estate Baller Show. If you ever like any of the video we posted, if you like this channel, can you do me a favor and hit that subscribe button? It helps us more than you know. And the bigger this channel get, the more people we can help achieve financial freedom. Thank you and enjoy the episode. I'm sorry for this interruption. I've been asked a lot about passive investment, and I understand that there is nothing passive about being a landlord unless you can find a great property management company. So if you own an Airbnb, a vacation rental, or a short-term rental, and you are looking to free up your time, contact our team at Buzz Vacation Rentals at 281-549-8432 or check out our website at www.buzzvacationrentals.com. Thank you, and back to the Real Estate Baller Show. This episode is brought to you by Jet Lending. For over 20 years, Jet Lending has been helping real estate investors succeed. They offer 100% financing so you can be in at $0 at closing. I can always count on Jet Lending to fund my deals. If you're looking to fund your next deal, contact our friend over at jetlending.com. This episode is brought to you by National Real Estate Insurance Group, a national independent insurance agency specifically for real estate investors. I personally use NREIG for my investment properties. They offer a low monthly payment option to help you to lower your cash out of pocket when buying an investment property. If you're looking for insurance coverage for your flips or your rental, reach out to them. You can click on the link in the show descriptions, or you can reach out to Jules at 816-946-8443. All right, we got Nick Perry in the house. Hey Nick, you know what? As I said earlier, you and I have something in common. We both, you know what that is?
What's that?
So we both love Cancun.
Love Cancun. Yeah. Cancun's incredible. I mean, I live here, so I don't have to sell you on that, but I know you're in Houston, so that's only an hour and a half away, but I can live anywhere in the world that I want to, and I choose to live here in Cancun.
Yeah. No, I love it. We used to come like several times a year. This year we haven't. And you know what else though? You were traveling earlier this year, right? You were in like Bali's and Phi Islands and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually was just on that same path right behind you. I didn't make it to Bali though.
Really? So you were doing an Asia tour at the same time I was doing an Asia tour?
I was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible. If any of you guys have not been to Asia, book your trip. And the cool thing about that trip too is it cost me almost $0. So I was able to do it all on points because, you know, we spent so much money in our business that I was able to do all the first class flights, all the 5-star hotels completely on points. So that was cool.
Yeah. I saw all the cool stuff you did. Was it Bali? You did the whole experience thing, you know, and then the partying, whatever, in Phi Island. I went with my kid and my daughter. My daughter and my mom. So we didn't do a lot of the crazier activities. But yes, to your point, we did go on points, and we did first class out of, Houston to Singapore. And my daughter is ruined forever. Like, she's ruined.
Oh, absolutely. There's no way I'm getting on a long haul flight in economy. Absolutely not. It's not happening.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk real estate. So we both were able to do these things that we love, that travel, live. You obviously live outside of the United States, I would say, because of what we've done in real estate. So tell us about your real estate journey.
Yeah. So, I've been doing this now, going on 11 years. So in right around 10 and a half years, I started doing this in 2014 and had nothing. I was a personal trainer before I did real estate. And so what I noticed was all my wealthy clients, I trained in like a pretty ritzy part of town, and all my wealthy clients were in real estate or they owned a company. None of them had W-2 jobs. And I was like, man, I never learned this in school. They told me I had to go to school and get good grades and, did a good job. And all the people that were pulling up in Bentleys and going on trips to Asia, none of them had jobs. I was like, well, I got the wrong blueprint. So my first mentors were my clients. I would interview them. I was like that guy on YouTube, like, what do you do for a living? And I would, be inquisitive as I was training them. And that's how I really got like the entrepreneurial drive to go out and create something for my own. And at that time, I had no idea what, to do in real estate. I was like, well, I think I need to go like be an agent, or I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, but I got on YouTube and I came across real estate wholesaling, and it just clicked in my mind. I was like, well, you don't need money. You don't need credit. I was like, well, good, then I'm qualified because I don't have either of that, right? I was broken. I didn't have any credit at the time. And so I was like, all I got to do is call a homeowner and negotiate a price here, and then I can sell it for a higher price to somebody else, and I never have to take possession of the property. That's pretty simple. My brain thinks at a very, third grade level, so I was able to comprehend it. And that was the initial seed, but it took me 11 months to get my first deal. So, I went in and I was giving it all I got. I was, handwriting yellow letters, going out doing bandit signs, every week, spending all the money that I had on marketing, and I couldn't get it to work to save my life. I was
Okay, hold on. So you were doing bandit signs, writing letters, love letters, and calling and all that crazy stuff. 11 months, no deal.
And I went on 104 appointments. This was face-to-face seller appointments driving all over Texas.
What are you, crazy? Why didn't you give up?
Well, I got to appointment like number 75. And I remember it was, 105 degrees in Texas. I just got told no on like 3 appointments back to back to back. I just had back surgery, so my back was all messed up. And I was like, man, maybe I started getting that little voice in my head, like, maybe I'm not cut out for this, or other people can do it and I can't. And then like the more sensible voice came into my mind, and it was like, listen, if other people can do this, then so can you. And it was kind of like the sunken cost fallacy. It was like, I've already come this far. So I was like, listen, I've already come this far. I'm either going to figure this out or it's going to kill me. One of the two is going to happen, but there's no other alternative. So I committed. I was like, I don't care if I got to be homeless and handwrite letters on, the back of napkins and go do cardboard sign, bandit signs. Like, I'm going to just keep pushing forward. And so I did. And they say fortune's in the follow-up. I continue to follow up with all my old appointments. And on that 104th appointment, walking out of there, I got told no. And then guess what? I got a call from a follow-up saying, hey, I think we're ready to move forward. And I was able to get that deal under contract. It was in Smithville, Texas, which is in between Austin and Houston. And it was an old tear-down house I got for dirt cheap and made $12,000 on it. And that was the proof of concept I really needed. And from there, it was, I took all that money and reinvested it back into marketing. And the deal started coming in after that. And fortunately, at the time, I had a really good job, too. So I was working inside sales at Indeed.com, 9 to 5. And then any minute I wasn't at my 9 to 5 job, I was working on my dream of becoming a full-time entrepreneur and real estate investor. So
when you got that call, at what moment did you get excited? Did you get excited when they call you and say, let's do the deal? Or did you get excited when you actually sold it and got a check?
Sold it and got a check because it wasn't real until the money was in my account.
Yeah.
Like, I had seen everybody else doing it, and it just didn't, like, I knew like it was possible and I understood it in theory, but until the money hits your account, it's not the same.
I agree. I'm like that too. Like, I don't believe it until I hold it in my hand or something, right? Like the money's in the account. So what did you do? Did you go celebrate? Did you do a dance? Like, call somebody?
All I remember was, I called my mom. Anytime anything good happens or even bad happens, my mom's usually the first one I call. So I called her, but I knew like, okay, well, now I've got proof of concept. I was like, I'm taking this entire $12,000 and I'm going to roll it right back into marketing because I already had a good job. So I was like, this is just house money. And so rather than handwriting letters, I was able to hire a mail company to send out mail for me. I was able to buy bandit signs. And, on those campaigns, I ended up getting like 3 or 4 deals from that $12,000 in marketing. Then I discovered the power of pay-per-click advertising. This was back in 2014 or 2015. So nobody was doing really pay-per-click advertising. It was all the traditional methods of bandit signs, cold call, direct mail. And I was like, man, if I could just get these leads coming to me on the internet inbound, like that would be amazing. And so there was like one guy on YouTube that was like teaching it, and it was like an obscure YouTube channel, maybe had like 20 subscribers, but I would binge watch all of his content. And I remember I reached out to him on a cold email and I said, hey man, I'm gonna be in your town next week. Are you available? I'd love to pay you for an hour of your time to come have lunch with me. And he's like, responded back. I didn't think I was gonna get a response back, but he's like, yeah, I'll meet you Tuesday. I'm available at 4 p.m. Meet me at this pizza shop. Now this pizza shop was in the middle of nowhere in Connecticut, and I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
And I had no plans to go up there. I was just doing this total. So I booked a flight to JFK in New York, rented a car, drove 3 hours into the mountains in the middle of January, and it was snowing like crazy. But I was like, there's no way. I had a pocket full of $2,000, and I was prepared to pay him. And what ended up happening was we hit it off really good at lunch. And long story short, he agreed to mentor me for 6 Zoom calls for the $2,000 that I gave him. And that gave me the foundational knowledge to start generating leads online. And so since then, I've done thousands and thousands of deals from pay-per-click advertising. It's made me a multimillionaire, changed my life completely. And that's all we do to this day. So that was a huge pivotal moment from going like, inbound versus outbound.
You still keep in touch with this person?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. We talked recently, we still stay in touch. There's always those people in your life that come into your life that you can look back and say, man, it had a big impact on you. And you always need to stay in touch with those people and honor your mentors.
That's amazing. That's such a wonderful story. So fast forward, you traveling the world. What have you done, in that time to allow you to now travel and be, I say, free, right? A lot of people would envy your life, your style. But I know it didn't come easy. I mean, No,
it didn't come easy, but it's worth it. So again, I've been doing this for a decade, but 4 years ago, I was able to retire from the day-to-day operation, and I left Austin. So I'll bring you back. So I started doing pay-per-click advertising. I went and was able to quit my 9-to-5 job. I was making almost $250,000 a year at Indeed, but I was starting to make more money in real estate. So I quit my 9-to-5 job. I went all into real estate. It was just me and like a virtual assistant at the time. And at that point, I was like, all right, well, let me start scaling up. So one of my interns at Indeed called me and was like, hey man, I'm looking for a position. And I was like, well, I don't really have much I can pay you. He was making 6 figures at Indeed with 401k, health insurance, all of that. And I was like, I could pay you like $2,000 a week to help me do some lead, or $2,000 a month to do some lead management. And surprisingly, he called me back and he's like, yeah, I think we could do that. And so he took a huge gamble to come work for me. And I had him doing the worst jobs in the company. He maxed out his credit cards to come work for me. He has a lot of debt and responsibilities, paying off student loans, like taking care of his family.
What were you feeding him?
I was paying him $2,000 a month, and he just racked up credit card debt until like we really ramped up. He came in and really hit the ground running. He was a leads manager, and then he was an acquisition, so he was an actual closer in our company. And then as we grew and started bringing people on, he just naturally kind of took seniority. He would help onboard the new hires, and then we had a small team on acquisitions. He was like the manager. And then, at this time we had probably 8 or 9 employees. He started overseeing all of them at the same time. So like when I would leave the office and go on a vacation or a trip, he would be the one running the show. And, that trust and the relationship was built over time. And in January of 2021, I promoted him from COO. He was the COO for 3 years to the CEO of my real estate investment company. So when I promoted him to the CEO, that was my cue. Like, I can't be in the office, like, overriding him. I need to let him grow and, really run this company. So I moved to South Beach in Miami, Florida for a couple of years. And what I would do is I would just travel back. I would spend a couple of weeks in Miami and then a week in Austin. And then it was going well. So I spent less time there. And then eventually it was, I would go back once a quarter. And we've continued to grow quarter over quarter, year over year since 2021. And that's why I've been able to travel the world, is because I have really good leadership and a great team. So that is key. I'm the visionary, but I have a phenomenal team. I get a lot of the credit, but I really got to, give my team credit for why I get to do this.
Well, I know I said it jokingly earlier, what were you feeding him? But I know that he somehow bought into your vision and bought into the person that you are, right? What were the things that you said? What was it? Why did he commit to you?
I would have to say the main reason is because people will forget what you say, but they will always remember what you do, right? So he was my intern for an entire summer.
Yeah.
And he would work prospecting leads at Indeed, but then he would see me locking up a real estate deal while I was on the clock at Indeed, right? He'd see me make $25,000, $40,000. And he would just see how I operated. We spent 8 to 10 hours a day the entire summer together. And I think that left a lasting impression on him, that he was like, I'm getting ready to come out of college and go into the workforce. And there's these two paths. And I see Nick is like breaking free of the matrix, so to speak. And I'm going into the matrix. And I think that was a big turning point where he wanted that ability to not be capped and not feel like he's like a slave to corporate America. And so people will always remember how you act, how you treat other people, what you do, your day-to-day actions, more than anything that you can tell them. There's not one specific thing I told him.
I totally agree. I totally agree. What is this person profile? How is it that you guys worked so well together?
He's much more analytical than I am. He's if you look at the DISC assessment, like he's a high driver, but he's also very analytical at the same time. Me, I'm almost all driver. Like I'm just 100% red, go, go, go.
Yeah.
And then social. So he sees my blind spots where, I might make mistakes. He can see my blind spots, but he's also can execute. So he's an amazing integrator. If I have a big project, I can break it down into chunks, hand it over to him, and it will get done. I think integrity too goes a long way with it. Like there's a lot of really, really sharp people out there, but our core values are loyalty, like trust and loyalty. If you don't have that in business, like I would not be out here doing this. Yeah, he's been with me for 8.5, 9 years now.
Yeah. And
never lied, never raised our voice to each other, never stole, never cheat, like none of that. And it's, we've been through a lot of things together, a lot of ups and downs in business, as you can imagine. Almost a decade in business together. So that's a big component of it.
You think that because both of you guys are high red, right, on the disc, high D, that makes it easier? Because some partnership may, one partner have high D and one got low D, and you always feel like you do more than the other partner?
For sure. Yeah, I think that, they always say like, you want to find somebody the complete opposite of you. You want to find somebody that has, I don't think that's true. I think you want to find somebody that has complementary skill sets.
Yeah.
That can complement where your weak spots are. Like you pull up an Excel spreadsheet, like my eyes start glazing over after a couple minutes. He loves it. Like you'll be pulling up Excel formulas and he knows how to, do all kinds of crazy pivot tables. That's not my skill set. But you do need somebody that also aligns with your pace and how you run in business. The fact that we're both the drivers is incredibly important, because you can't have one person on the gas and another person on the brake, or you're going to start clashing. So I think that you do have to find people with complementary skill sets, but also have an alignment in how you work as well.
So looking back, what would be the number one contributor to your success? If you have to name just one thing.
Tenacity. That's it. Because I never had anything handed to me. I come from a very lower middle class family. My dad was a landscaper. Well, I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment on the couch. Never had enough money. We went grocery shopping once every 2 weeks when we got paid, and then when food ran out, that was it. It was hand-me-down clothes, Salvation Army, Goodwill, Walmart. Growing up, I would see my friends going to the movies and getting new cars when they were 16. That was not in the cards for me. That really made an impression on me. I was like, I'm not going to let this be my reality when I become an adult. Absolutely not. So I started working at a very early age. I started working when I was 14 years old, and I've been working ever since. I dropped out of school when I was 15 and just worked full time. And that's the route I chose because I saw the pain that poverty and not having enough money caused. It caused my parents to divorce. It caused, me a lot of hardship growing up. And I was like, that's not going to be my reality when I become an adult. So I've always been that way. And then also, I'm kind of like that. Most entrepreneurs, like, we're rebels in a certain capacity. So I don't take direction too well from like other people. Like I'm the one I like to call the shots. I like to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Like, you're not going to tell me any different. Like, that's just how I am. And so I don't really do well in like the corporate environment having a boss.
Well, who's the boss at home?
God, that's it.
So she's not the boss, you're not the boss, God is.
God, yes, God is the boss.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm getting philosophical here. I think you are obviously a product of your environment, right? You have all the drive, the tenacity, all of that is because of the way you grow up. I always get scared that our next generations or something, like people, like, I guess if you didn't grow up the way you did, would you have the success you have today?
No, I went through a lot of hard things growing up. I mean, my dad was never home. He was working. I was getting in fights, getting suspended, kicked out of school, doing all the bad stuff, teenagers do. That was me 100%. I had a lot of really challenging life circumstances happen to me that molded me into who I was, through not just like school, but early adulthood, like incarcerations, being homeless, being broke until I was like 25, 26 years old, seeing everybody else that, was doing well financially. I was like, I got to find a way. I have to find a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's deep. Okay. So your operation, what does it look like today?
So currently right now we've got about 22 employees. So it's 8 acquisitions. Then we have like 3 follow-up specialists. Then we have 3 dispo. Then we have 2 transaction coordinators. And then we have my CEO, and then myself, and then project manager. And we're about to hire a sales director. We're hiring a sales director right now. So whatever that tallies up to is 21 or 22 or somewhere around there.
Okay. So it's a sizable operation. Do you guys do mostly wholesale? Do you take title? Do you operate in one city, one state? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we do properties all over the country. I was one of the first people to do nationwide wholesaling. So I pioneered that probably in 2016. And so we've done deals in all 50 states. Currently, we market in 6 or 7 different states. And in terms of like exit strategies, we still do a lot of wholesale, but novations is a big component of what we do as well. And then we will take down properties. So we wholesale and flip, and then we purchase rental properties as well. So we cherry pick the very best rentals and flips, and then novate or wholesale everything else.
Are you doing the rental and flip in locally, or that also apply to everywhere?
I say everywhere, but we have pockets where we like to hold rentals. So we have rentals and they're spread out. Like I have a bunch of rentals in Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Georgia, and then Texas. And then we flip all over the country as well. So we'll, do it all remotely. We're doing everything, over the phone. We're working with realtors, contractors, property managers. It's all controlled from Austin.
How long did it take for you to get that system to really get consistent?
A long time. I would say I really didn't start hitting really strong, multi 7-figure years until year 6, year 7 is when things really started to take off. I would have good months, but I didn't have consistency until year 6 or year 7. And a lot of that just came down to the people and the processes continually getting better over time. I think that a lot of people want that, hey, what was the one thing that you did? It wasn't the one thing that I did. It was just the continually getting 1% better every single day. compounds over time.
So I'm assuming over the year to get better, you tweak, you adjust, you do this, you do that, right? You can, like you said, continuously improving. What caused you to say, like your process, for example, at what point you say, okay, time to change this process, time to do things differently? At what point, how long do you give it until you decide to do something else?
I mean, there's a formula that we look at. It's basically like, okay, for marketing, right? I think a lot of people will be like, man, my marketing's not working. Well, what does that really mean? Like, how long have you been marketing for? Is your marketing trending down, quarter over quarter? Because a lot of people will think like, oh, my marketing is not working. We've had a couple bad weeks. Like that's no reason to pull the plug on something, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of business owners, they're undercapitalized. They're scared to death, especially when they're getting going. And so they make short-sighted, not so wise decisions. And I did that for a long time too. So you need to be making data-driven decisions on when you're going to either improve something or change something in your business. You always got to be looking for that next best thing, but you can't get shiny object syndrome either. There's always a new CRM, always a new technology. I think it's healthy to like R&D into your business, but if something's not broken, you don't have to fix it either, right? Sometimes simpler is better.
So you just said CRM. Are you using the same CRM you are today, or have you changed CRM?
Well, so we use InvestorFuse. I've been using InvestorFuse since 2015.
Yeah.
And so originally it was on Podio, and then they brought it in-house and they built it themselves. And we've just been with them the entire time. They've been really, really good strategic, vendors for us. They work with us and we're in alignment with their tech team. So they build things out the way we want, and we're super happy.
So is that credit to your now CEO person? Because I looked at InvestorFuse years ago and it seemed just really complicated for me.
It was. So here's what happened. So when they went from Podio and then they did their own build out, we said, we're just going to stay on Podio because this is a mess. You guys still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
And every year they would check in like, hey, are you guys going to switch? And we're like, no. And then a couple years in, we said, listen, we're not switching until you do all these things. Like, we gave them an entire list. It was almost unrealistic, the list that we gave them. Well, 3 months later, they came back and said, hey, we've done all of it.
Wow.
Like, wow. Okay. Well, let's look at it again. And then we're like, hey, there's still a couple of things here you need to fix. They fixed it, and we said, all right, we'll migrate over, and it's been great now. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out in like the last couple of years or the last year or so, it's come a long way.
Yeah, that is cool. So what's next for you?
So next for me is I'm here in beautiful Cancun right now, living the life that I dreamed of when I got into this business. I said, man, if I could retire from my business, live somewhere on the beach with palm trees, like that's it. I made it. I'm done. Right. Like that's like, I think the entrepreneur's dream when you first get into it. And then, I've been here. I've been living in Latin America the last 3 years, been semi-retired for going on 4 years now. And what you realize when you go through that is, as humans, we are meant to bear fruit and create. That is the purpose of being alive, is to create and bear fruit, especially as entrepreneurs. So I've still been working, from here, but I'm excited because the next chapter, I'm actually moving from Cancun here in Mexico to Scottsdale, Arizona. So we just got an office at the Cardone Center in North Scottsdale. I'll be neighbors with Grant Cardone. We're opening up office there. I got a beautiful home in Scottsdale waiting for me here in a few weeks, and we're getting ready to take it even to the next level. So we're calling this like 2.0 of what we're doing, because I haven't been in the office in 4 years. I haven't worked alongside my team in 4 years. So we're all really excited to be back together and take things to the next level, because we're completely evolved from where we were, last time I was there.
What prompted this decision?
Well, I realized my goals, have grown a lot from, this was my goals. I accomplished my goals, but for what I want to do, the impact that I want to create, the lifestyle that I want to live, and the legacy that I want to leave for my family, I need a few more zeros. So in order for me to do that, couldn't I do that here? Yes, I've been growing every year, but I know when I'm in the office, I'm a different animal. Like the speed at which things happen is a lot faster. So I'm going to move in order to have proximity to my team. And then Arizona, a lot of our vendors, colleagues, peers, mentors are all out there. Scottsdale is a entrepreneur's paradise. 1 out of 17 people there are millionaires. So, you're putting yourself in a very fertile environment to go out and create massive success.
I think Scottsdale is an amazing place because a lot of innovation come out of Scottsdale. Like all the real estate innovations that we see, right? Seem to come out of Scottsdale somehow. I can't think of a name of the technology company right now, but
yeah, you got Batch, you have Investor Lift out there. You've got a lot of the heaviest hitters in our industry all there, which are friends of mine. So the collaboration that comes from being around that, just going to the gym together, going to church together, going to dinner together. Like it's amazing what can happen when you put, really smart people together and you guys are all, going after your dreams.
well, I am super excited for you. Now, I know you're fairly young. You're probably in your 30s or something. What advice do you today have for your 18-year-old Nick?
I learned sales and marketing from an early age. So I've got a 3-month-old, or now she's 4-month-old daughter right now. And if I could impart like one thing on her to really help her is to learn how to do marketing and sales at an early age. Because if you learn how to do marketing and sales, you'll never be broke, you'll never be hungry, and you'll always have a great life. Sales and marketing pay more than a CEO, a doctor, a surgeon, you name it. So that will take you a lot further than any college degree will.
Agree. Hey, I'd love to have a longer chat, but I know we're short on time today. Sorry for my technical challenges here. Last questions. How does the audience get in touch with you?
Yeah, reach out. I'm on Instagram more than any platform. So it's just Nick Perry REI, but I'm on all the channels, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. So it's just Nick Perry on all the platforms. And we'll look forward to connecting with you guys. Feel free to reach out.
Hey, thanks for tuning in today. I do have a favor to ask. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with more amazing stories and insights from REBallers. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video.